Lore Reloaded, as always, my pleasure to be having a conversation with you guys. I'm always excited, always thrilled to see where we can go with all of this. And hopefully, we go somewhere spectacular, somewhere fantastic. Either that or you guys can just laugh at me. It's one or the other. It's whatever happens. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with your judgments. I'm going to be honest with you. So today we'll be talking about should Kurtzman ignore the fandom and your thoughts on it. We can also go wherever you want to go. Should be getting a background soon, though I will be moving shortly within 5 to 7 months, so don't get too used to it. I'm just going to put my old one back. So today, I would like to talk to you about the advantages of the fact that Kurtzman probably should ignore everything that we talk to him about. Now, Trip Durham gives the exact reason on why our lad should in fact ignore us. Because Trip says, no, he shouldn't ignore the fandom, he should resign. Now, in all fairness, one second. With feedback like that, why exactly should he listen to anything we have to say? True question. Not trying to be confrontational. Not even saying what you said was bad necessarily. But I do wonder, what exactly does he have? Ryan, already with the jokes, helping out the channel, and already with the jokes, saying that he should ignore 25% of the fandom. An inside joke, if inside jokes ever did exist. You are, in fact, early today, Red. Welcome to the earliness. Yeah, so, in all seriousness, all things, jokes aside, given how toxic everything has been, and given how different everything has been, hostile, I'll say, everything has been, I really don't see why you wouldn't simply just ignore it all, and in fact, even go the opposite way. I think it happens with me to a degree. Depending on how you come at me, and depending on your associations, will impact how I react or interact with you. There are certain people who have been such bad faith in the way that they interact that I will not listen to their criticisms. And while I won't actively attempt to piss them off, if I can do so, and if I can do something that's not outside of my wheelhouse and irritate them, I'm not against it. I'm not above that. What's going on, Lisa? I hope you're doing well. So really, with everything that's going on in social media and everything that's going on YouTube, there really is no reason not to. As someone who writes, you need to listen to fans to an extent. When you write something, you have a specific vision of what you want in your head. It always sucks having to remove stuff. Yeah, but the problem is that when all that they ever do is just attack you and say that they're getting inside information that's never true, and they're making bank off of lies, and lies and hate, what is the advantage to that? I don't know. Good afternoon, Laura. Callie, greetings from San Francisco Bay. Hope you're doing good, Arjun. San Francisco Bay is a beautiful locale. My hatred of California is biased, but I'll admit, California has some very beautiful places. He should respect the fans, but there is no law to obey fans' desires. If you follow the opinion of every fan, nothing would get done. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what the fans are doing, ultimately. Should you respect people who are showing that they aren't worthy of that respect? I mean, someone who's vitriolic is there really a reason to want to, or not want to, but to be beholden to them, you know? It should be noted that for every person who hates Kurtzman's direction, there are also a few who actually like his direction. Yeah, and it's also worth noting that YouTube is has an has a leaning towards anti-Kurtzman. So he's not liked. So you're going to have a biased or swayed opinion on YouTube. It's like going on Twitter. You're going to have a swayed opinion on Twitter of Kurtzman too, in the opposite direction. Roddenberry said once that you can't write to the fans because it won't work out well. Well, that's true. Unfortunately, Roddenberry wasn't that good of a writer. But I mean, I don't disagree. You're right. I just don't have space to write a novel of my opinion. Edward, if you want to break it into parts, I would be okay with that. What does Kurtzman direct? I'm sorry, Lisa, I don't understand. He's I don't know that he has any direct impact on any of the shows now, but overall he sways where everything goes. Like, while everybody is probably all for the cause, the fact that it's very leaning towards LGBT or progressiveness is his direction. But what specifically happens in the shows, I don't think he has any direct control over that anymore. In fact, arguably, he's taken more of a back seat than Berman did, from my understanding. He should respect the previous work and optimism of Trek, otherwise write an original opinion. I would say that is identifying a specific trait and then saying it has to be that or not. What's to say he should have ships that have 2 nacelles or just write something completely by itself? You know what I'm saying? Someone can't really please everybody, and trying to do so tends to lead to a lot of problems. That I'd agree with. This is one hell of a title. Well, I did it for you, Donovan. I specifically... No one else. Just you. Roddenberry wasn't the best Trek writer. Yeah, it's crazy to think that and say that, and it confuses people who don't know the history. But honest to God, he was not... When original Trek writer... When they sent their original Trek writers, they weren't sending their best. That's not fair. I think Roddenberry, during the original series, I guess Roddenberry was the weakest link of all of them. I think they had a lot of great writers, so I guess I can't say that. What's going on, Ariel? Hope you doing well. I think I saw Arctic too, and Lisa, of course, cannot have this without Lisa. Doesn't Roddenberry do just as much to control the franchise as Kurtzman? Does he? I don't know much about Roddenberry. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know his impact or if he has any control over it. I still feel the production team is either not getting feedback or those who don't like it is a minority of the fan base and most do enjoy. You know, given what they're doing, I'm kind of there with you, Sirstus. We've had this conversation before. Corporations aren't in the business of losing money. They're in the business of making money. And so to continue to go to the well means that they have to be doing something right or they're getting some kind of money from it. Roddenberry was a Navy guy. Why would he be a good writer? That's true. To be fair, being in the weakest part of the U.S. military does tend to, make you weak. I'm right there with you. I understand. See, that's going to make some people mad. My nephew and sister were in the Navy. And so I like taking shots. Of course, I've never been in the military, which gives me every right to, pick fights with those who are in the military. I wouldn't be a civilian if I didn't do that. We may not like it true, but they must be getting good numbers. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Sirstus. I heard Roddenberry has 0 input. I haven't heard that he's had any impact. Now, he may. I haven't been keeping up with him, but I haven't heard he's had any impact. Well, I do have my own problems with Kurtzman-era Trek. with the way certain fans are reacting, I'm starting to feel a little more sympathetic to him. Yeah, I mean, based off that. Edgy. Yeah, attacking the U.S. military online. Such an edgy and crazy thing that never happens. My love for Trek is what made me want to enlist. Oh, sweet. Dad was Navy, Mom was Army, Grandpa was Air Force. Best friend is in the Marine Corps. Well, there you go. You know what Army stands for? Aren't ready to be Marines yet. Gene was also a cop for a bit. Yeah, he had an interesting life. He had a more expensive life than a lot of us. Didn't he... Was he in... Did Gene Roddenberry fight in any worse? Yeah, he was in World War II. I thought he was, but I didn't want to say something stupid. He was a captain. I didn't know that. Huh. Interesting. Ariel helping out the channel. Kiss and hugs. Here's some Count de Monet for you, lore. Have you thought about doing any lore on Red Dwarf or Sequest? If I was going to do it, it'd probably be near Red Dwarf than Sequest. I don't think that goes. I'm just saying, Ariel, if we ever meet in person, like at a con or something, I shall give you a hug. Maybe we'll go get something to eat. If I was going to do it, it'd be Red Dwarf. Couldn't be Sequest. No one would watch Sequest. People barely watch Red Dwarf. I wouldn't mind Red Dwarf. I think Red Dwarf has some interesting ideas. Intriguingly, I'd be curious to see a non-comedy version of Red Dwarf, to see where they kind of went with it. But I liked it. Now I'm offended. Being a Navy vet, also wasn't Roddenberry an Army Air Corps? I don't know. I can take a look right here. He was in the 394th Bombardment Squadron, so I guess so. Hey, kind of a cool thing. My grandfather, not related at all. My grandfather served in World War II, and he was a medic. He was a paratrooper medic, and so what he did is he served in several different fronts, and while he was there, he actually got the money from the different areas. So he had Nazi money. He had money from the Italians. He also got money from the Philippines when Japan took over, and he kept the money, and he actually gave it to me in his will. And I have money from the original. It's kind of cool. It's not really worth as much as you'd think, but it is kind of cool to have. There should be an uncomedic version of The Simpsons. Well, that's current. Isn't that current Simpsons? Isn't the current Simpsons the uncomedic version of The Simpsons? Has anyone ever noticed that the recent Trek has a bit more positive view on capitalism, like how they resolved the conflict in the Gomatu? Well, they've always went back and forth with capitalism. They really have. TNG hated it. Of course, that was under Gene's direct direction, and they just went with it. DS9 was a mix. DS9, sometimes you had Marxist, like literal Marxist rhetoric, and sometimes you had capitalism saving the day. Enterprise was capitalistic. I don't really think they took a position on it one way or the other. I don't think Discovery did either until season 3, and they kind of actually had a very positive bent on it. And then you have Lower Decks. I really think it's gone back and forth. Look, guys, a lot of you were saying, I need to back up because people were in the they're in the Navy, or they had people in the Navy. Look, I respect all those brands. I mean, I respect like the Coast Guard, and I respect the U.S. Navy. So I think, those two are pretty comparable. I think they should get the same amount of respect. I get it. My greatest granddad served in World War II. Army artillery merged with a Marine group in the Pacific. Oh, very cool. Sucked that he had to do that, but yeah. What about Space Force? I like Space Force. I know a lot of people having issues with it, but I think it's cool that we have Space Force and that it's moving towards it. Even if it was under Trump, I still think that moving forward was pretty cool. I'm old. My dad was in World War II. My dad was in the Vietnam or Korean War, I think. Wow, this has gone a really weird way. You know, I think it's interesting when Trek tries to. Some of the things that Trek doesn't do well, and I give a little bit of props to Kurtzman for, is it doesn't really look at specific issues. It just says they're right or wrong and just goes with it, like economies and things like that. It does feel like Reagan did start World War II. That's just fact. It does feel like they're at least trying to approach it from a couple of different aspects. I think Kurtzman does quite a few things that he does not get credit for. We need to remember Starfleet, while it has some military background, it's more close to a uniformed service, just like the NOAA. I don't know who that is. Uniformed service with the Coast Guard. Okay. What do people criticize about Kurtzman's direction? It's gone way too far. LGBT progressive. It's anti-white. It does not follow the spirit of Trek. It is trying to be. It's trying to be the Expanse. Literally, he's trying to destroy Trek from within. I mean, that has been said, like literally. French kissing is awesome, Donovan, so I'll have no bad talk about it. French kissing is awesome. I'm a huge fan of French kissing. If you're not French kissing, you're not living. Now he's going to get fired any day now. 500 YouTube videos can't be right. That's 4chan told him, bro. 4chan told him. Kurtzman Trek isn't entertaining enough, says Star Trek nitpickers. That is highly subjective. I think Lower Decks is extremely entertaining. I even like Discovery Season 3. I know I'm in the minority on that. My dad served as a Marine sharpshooter in the Korean War, but he was in slightly less dangerous Virgin Islands there. Okay. There were Koreans on the Virgin Islands? I didn't know that. Kurtzman just does not do LGBT plus wrong well. I'd be curious what you mean about that, Elise. I'd like... When you say he doesn't do it well, I think I'll be honest with you, I think the best relationship I've seen in Trek, the best relationship, is Stamets and the Doctor. I think that's the best, most well thought out relationship so far. Oh, no, they weren't. That's why it was less dangerous. Oh, okay. Like, yeah, I was like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if if that had happened and I didn't know about it. But I don't think he's trying to sabotage the franchise, but Picard and Discovery was miserable to watch. Well, miserable for some people. A lot of people, I think, enjoyed it, which is why you're in the minority for liking Season 3. I thought that was well agreed. Now, a lot of people don't like Season 3, actually. They think it's more of the same, which is unfortunate, because I think Season 3 is a step up. After Grandpa retired, he became a mail carrier and a flying instructor. That's why I know how to fly plane. Oh, that's cool, Red. Titan AE World Ship would be something to cover in the future. It could be. What's going on, Trek Yards? Hope you're doing well. Always a pleasure to have Trek Yards on. I don't know. I'm curious when you say... So there's one scene, like the scene at the end of Picard was horrific, I think. And that was really the director, the person who was directing at the time. That's all his fault. But beyond that, how have they done LGBT poorly? I guess would be my question. Season 3 was a step up, but the last half was just silly. The last episode, I think, was silly, for sure. Season 3 was by far better, says Trek Yards, than Season 1, and quite a lot better than Season 2. It had structure, a great set of characters, reboots, and Michael was much better. Season 3 was far better than Season 1, and quite a lot better than Season 2. Okay. So do you think that Season 3... Do you think Season 1 was better than Season 2 in Discovery, Trek Yards? Or am I misreading that? If Stamets and the Doc is the best relationship, it says more about the poor quality of relationships on Trek than anything else. They never did them well, in my opinion. If you disagree with me, then we can... I'd be curious what relationship you think was done well. because we can have that conversation. Season 1 is I'm going to guess that's a 3 out of 10. By the way, is Star Wars Visions worth watching? Any Star Wars fans? I haven't watched it. Season 2 is a 6 out of 10. Season 3 is 8. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would even say this. I think, like, going on that metric, I think that Season 1 Discovery was awesome. Season 2 Discovery was better, but that's not saying much. Picard Season 1 was better than Season 2 of Discovery. Again, not saying much. Lower Decks really blows it out of the water. Season 3 of Discovery is no Lower Decks, but it's still better than Picard Season 1. It probably had a lot less check boxes after all the first 2 seasons were smearing Trump. First season was, for sure. Second season, I think they dropped that. Man, I have to disagree about Season 3 being better than Season 2. Well, why? What is your disagreement? Is it just me, or is Adira Tal seeing and talking to Gray a serious bad sign for their mental health? So, I think that would be some bad writing, and I'll tell you why. What they're trying to do is they're trying to do the analogy of, like, the unseen, how am I trying to say this? A person, like LGBT plus unseen. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to do this analogy of someone who's there but no one sees them. And they made that person in Tal's mind. And now they're trying to, like, bring it together and everything. It's just really confusing. And I get the analogy they're trying to do, but it's being poorly executed. I don't even know how you'd execute that appropriately. What's going on, Tony? Hope you're doing well. I don't even know how you would execute that appropriately. I mean, I see what they're trying to go for, but it's just... My problem with Kurtzman era is it feels like it lacks direction, much like the Star Wars sequel trilogy. It feels like they are throwing everything to the wall and see what sticks. I don't know that it lacks So what they have said is that each series is going to be something different, that you're getting a different experience. And so if that's what they're going for, I don't know that it lacks direction. It's just the direction is all over the place. You know, they're going for different things. Lower Decks is canon. That is true. Season 3 Discovery, the producers listened to the fans and decided to have the best person for any job give it to Michael by saying, I know I'm the best person for the job, but I'm giving it to you. Decided to have the best person for any job. They did. Did you watch Season 3 all the way through? I don't know that I agree with that. The actual weird thing with Adira is that she still can't access any of her Trill memories. It didn't change her in any real way. It didn't change them. Adira is they, them. Yet they see and hear Gray. It's super specific and non-logical. Yeah, so, and I guess that is... I think they're really trying to go for the unseen arc, like I was saying beforehand. And the fact that she can't access her Trill memories, or it's hard for her to access the Trill memories. They like come in and out or whatever. I don't hate that, especially since she's not Trill, or they are not Trill. And if they kept that, then it could be really interesting with the character. I don't know. We'll have to see where they go. I think Kurtzman should pay attention long enough to realize most people seem to not want a Section 31 show. Are you sure most people don't want? Where exactly do you get that people don't want a Section 31 show? I would be curious to see. That said, I haven't heard anything about the Section 31 show in a while. Orville does Orville better? I agree that Orville does do Orville better. I don't buy they listen to the fans. I think they realized they're characters that we can try and flesh them out by doing their jobs. They seem to do a lot of things that fans had criticisms with. They seem to correct them. Do I think Star Trek or do I think Discovery would have worked better if they'd used the pitch of American Horror Story in space before they brought Kurtzman on? I don't know. I'd have to look at that more. I'm not sure. They really needed to go a different direction than what they did. I don't want a Section 31 show. Section 31 are great bad guys. You're not supposed to agree with them. I think you could have anti-heroes. That could be really interesting. And I don't even think they're supposed to be big bad guys that you don't necessarily agree with. I think they're very sympathetic in Deep Space Nine, like extremely sympathetic, and definitely sympathetic in Enterprise. They've always been an anti-hero, like the Batmen of Trek. Batman. Not done by Kurtzman. I would love a Section 31 show set in the Federation. Okay. The farther Brian Fuller away is away from The further Brian Fuller is away from Discovery, the better it gets. His vision was poison, and Kurtzman tried to write a broken ship, and it's taken 3 years to actually course correct. Why did he leave again? That's been so long. I haven't. You guys are more the behind the scene guys anyway. Section 31 aren't anti-heroes? I think they are. I'd be curious. So, first off, let's define what an anti-hero is before we get too into this. Anti-hero definition. An anti-hero is a central character in a story, movie, or drama who lacks conventional heroic attributes. So, Section 31 believes that the ends justify the means, and they're willing to do that through various processes. They don't want to do the things that they do, but they do them if it's going to get the outcome they're looking for. The more like anti-villains. Anti-villain a definition? I guess it is. Anti-villains have noble characteristics and goals, but how they strive for those goals is often questionable or downright aberrant. Yeah, I could see them as anti-villains. I could see that. I stand corrected. So you people say I'm not correct. I don't ever agree, and I always argue. But when you make a good argument, I think they're anti-villains. I can see that. Viro helping out the channel, or Viro, as they say in the Latin, which is 50-50 on Kurtz. I like a lot, but wrecked so much. Check cards. I don't know if you want to write it out or not, or if you're even still here. But if you are, I would be curious on why you thought Brian Fuller was like so toxic. Fuller was told to make Discovery look more futuristic. He walked rather than make a show that didn't fit canon. That feels like, I like you nitpickers, so don't take this wrong, but that feels like rewriting a history. I mean, maybe you're right, but that just feels like rewriting of history. A Section 31 show would be great, like a darker, harsher Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, maybe. I hate that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stopped being canon. Or not, yeah, stopped being canon. I really liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The thing about Section 31, they've saved trillions of lives by stopping alien terrorist plots and end-of-the-world events, so we need them, and we will never know how much they have done. The reason I don't want... So here's my thing. I don't want a Section 31, and the reason why is that Section 31, the less we know about them, the more interesting they are. And the less they're used, the more interesting they are. It's like the Borg. Voyager didn't destroy the Borg because the Borg were in Voyager. Voyager destroyed the Borg because they completely demystified them and turned them into a villain of the week. I think Discovery Season 2 was pretty close to doing that. Could go to Lore's Discord and write your own comment there, if that would ease you. It's true. I need to do more with I need to get mods, and I need to get a hop in and do fun stuff with the Discord. I got so much everything. Section 31 TV movie, no backstory, just a good Just a good story with interesting characters. Yeah, I mean, a movie could work. We just have to see where it goes. Arctic Fox, always there. Section 31 is like the CIA. They do a lot of things we do not agree with, but things that are necessary that we do not need to know about. I would say they are the CIA of Trek. I heard Las Moonves didn't pay much attention at first, then was upset that it looked like the original series instead of super futuristic. I don't know. Maisie in the house, always my honor to have Maisie. My idea for Section 31 show was basically Firefly, except the crew are undercover 31 agents, which see the dark underbelly of the Federation. Yeah, I think we've talked about that, haven't we, Maisie? I think. Also thought that Voyager made the Borg look weak and like a bunch of losers. They did. They did. Keep the mystery of Section 31, yes, but also at the point they would get the Eternals MCU in that we end up asking, why didn't you stop that event? Well, so they actually addressed that, though, in Eternals. I mean, I haven't read the books on the Eternals. I got no idea. It looks like the Eternals look like, basically, they're like, okay, we want Superman. How are we going to have Superman in our stuff? And so they made the Eternals. I don't know what the Eternals are, but in one of the scenes, they say we were directed not to interfere. I think the model they're going with for different shows, for different demographics, is a great idea. Give some hope punk, give some grim dark, comedy, kids, etc. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. I can jump on Skype and do an audio call as to what happened with Brian. So first off, the 80s called, and they want Skype back. You need Discord. I've always said you need Discord. If you want to talk briefly, we can, yeah. Hello, Laura. To answer the title question, yes, he should just do him. I think that we're all coming to that agreement. I'll bring you on for a second. Oh, man. Why do they always change stuff? I don't understand why. Just don't change anything. Like, Skype doesn't even work anyway. How would you feel about Section 31 undermining TNG Golden Age? Are they like had an agent on every ship? I mean, I think that they do undermine everything. Like, that's their whole... You know what I'm saying? Like, their mere existence undermined their whole existence during the Golden Age undermines it. But I think it is a necessity. Let's see. I'm in. Are you guys on this one? Because I think it's connecting now. Hold on, check yards. I sent you a hello. I think I logged into the wrong account. So I sent you a hello. I think Kurtzman should do him away from Trek. He likes JJ is better in the vacuum of solo movie. Maybe. Here's a good question. Where was Section 31 when the Borg almost assimilated Earth? I think they probably dropped the ball on that one. Because it is possible for them to be fallible, right? And so, that's what I would say. I do think, I think that Section 31 was using Borg technology. We've discussed that. And they just didn't get the signal or take it as seriously. They wanted to get Borg tech when they failed. They knew the Enterprise would save the day. Well, there you go. I don't think they failed getting Borg tech. Because what happened to the sphere? It just disappears, right? Alright, guys. Glamorous Titanic 21 has arrived. We can finally get this party started. Trekyards, tell me if you guys received my message. The Borg attacking Earth is like the FBI in 9/11. I'm about to get canceled so hard. You probably are going to get canceled stupidly hard. Like, insanely hard. So canceled. Canceled from the word go. How do you know Shelby isn't a Section 30? Maybe she was. What's up, Cedric? Doing well. Hope you're doing well. Section 31 only acts after the first clash. There wasn't as much time, I guess, for them to explain. Maybe? I messaged your Skype, says you're active. Hold on. I may have been in the wrong one. Let me see. I hate Skype. I mean, I will pay you not to do Skype. Not very much, but I will pay you. Yeah, see, we were doing the wrong, I think. Hold on. Ah! Alright. Were Kirk and Spock working for Section 31 during the Enterprise incident? Maybe they were. Maybe they weren't. Smoke signals would be just as good. What's up, Frank Mar 87? I don't think I've seen you in a while, buddy. You doing well? Well, maybe you were here before. I don't know. I don't think so, though. You haven't been here for a while. Ooh. Ooh, there he is. Audio call. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Whoa. Hold on, you guys can't hear him. That was
hello.
Hey, what's up, brother? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just doing some Enterprise E work.
Nice.
Yeah,
How's
standard day?
How's stuff with your fan fiction going?
It's good. It's good. What's an update? Teasing the new stuff.
Yeah, I saw that.
So much new stuff. My God.
Pimp it. When's it? What's the current thing with it before we get into the the other stuff?
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, Trek Shorts, a collection, can't really say series, of several short films. It was 5, and we're kind of expanding a little bit because the creative juices are kind of flowing, and once you have the budget to buy the costumes and the props, you've got them ready to go.
Heck
so
yeah,
we're just we've been filming every 2 to 3 weeks. We've got another 4 days booked before the end of the year, a couple booked next year. It's all go. We're filming the Doomsday one on Saturday, next Saturday. Yeah, it's going well.
I've been killing it.
Yeah, trying to.
So the Fuller stuff that we were talking about, because I didn't know much about it then. I sure don't now. So what's been going on with that?
And as you know, with Trek Yards, we get bashed for being both in the same video, for both being Discovery lovers and haters. So we like to think we're balanced, but we call out as we see it. So Brian's an interesting one because he was obviously hired on a while before. He helped pitch the series. It was story by, written by. It was his MO. He wrote treatments for the entire season, not full scripts, but treatments. We had the entire season planned, potentially season 2, but we can't say. He wrote the first 2, or the first one, first 2, Vulcan Hello, and that was pretty much unedited and unchanged for the shooting time. So that was pretty much as written. He was actually taken off the project, taken off, in between filmings episode 2 and 3. So in between episodes 2 and 3, all of his treatments were thrown out. And so you imagine as a production team, they said, right, we've got Fuller's lieutenant still, Kurtzman stepping in. We have to, while we're shooting 1 and 2, we now have to totally rewrite and invent all the rest of the episodes. They had to get another 3 episodes to just cover themselves just so they actually had enough to write. And they were kind of inventing it as they went a little bit. And that's why there's a disjointed feel. I believe it was Nicholas Meyer helped write the 3rd episode, but his script was changed quite a bit. He was meant to, I believe, write a few more, but never came back. And some ideas that Brian had were kept in because obviously he had character arcs, he had stuff that was in theory set up in the first 2 episodes, but they wanted to go their own direction, and they did. Problem being, Brian had already commissioned all the costumes, all the sets, all the makeup, all the alien redesigns, all the ship redesigns, all the casting choices. Everything was except got to have that for episode 1. And so now they're stuck with all of the stuff that is Brian's vision visually, and now we've got to make something that's our own without any plan. So bit of a thing.
Right.
And that's why it took 3 years to have new uniforms, and there's the only thing we can't get rid of is the sets.
Why'd they get rid of Fuller again? What was the thing behind that?
I mean, it was fundamentally creative differences, and depending on how far you want to take that, he wanted to make a show. I think as the producers and the money men were seeing the art design and what they're producing, and Netflix as well, they're all seeing it. And I guess at a certain point, the tidal wave was, this isn't where we want to go. And Brian's vision was Brian's vision, and then boom, gone. So yeah, it's remarkable, really. Now I do think if he had been given his full vision, because there was an arc to it, and there was a payoff, and there was all this other stuff, it may have been great, because it might have like revealed by season 2 it was a mirror universe or it was an alternate universe, and made sense. Or just he said point blank, we're in a separate universe, just have fun with it. But by having all of the leftovers, remember his directive, the Klingon ships, to the designer was, it can't look Klingon. That's literally a quote from the Eaglemoss books. It cannot look and feel Klingon, which is obviously a bad sign going in. And the reason they made the Discovery design, as weird as it is, the Ralph McQuarrie, is because in, I believe it was episode 7 of Brian's original pitch, they were meant to go into Klingon space and kind of do this weird trick where it looked like a Klingon D7 in the scanners and long-range scanners. And so that's literally the only reason why it has those D7-looking secondary hull elements, so that it could do this in one gimmick near the end of the season. Obviously that leaves, and now we have this ship that looks bizarre. Same thing with why it's thin, why it's copper, why it's upsized. I mean, it all does stem back to his ideas, which then got aborted instantly, pretty much.
But we don't know what his ultimate ideas were, right? We don't know where they were going with it.
We know some, and I haven't read the scripts. I know bits and bobs, but I don't want to, until I read it, I don't want to go into it. But he had big ideas. Doesn't mean he could execute them, obviously, but they were definitely different.
Right.
And really, really different. They may have been a great payoff, but we certainly didn't get that. And I think at least a cohesive vision would have been a better thing to see.
Right.
What we got was a mishmash, and you wonder why there's plot holes in every episode, basically, because it was being invented as they went.
Well, that would have to be frustrating on Kurtzman's side, too, to try to have to fix all of this and be getting, just total hell for everything he does, even though this is a mess that he walked into more than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, in very fairness to him, Season 1 is not unwatchable, and considering the mess they were given, that's quite impressive. It wouldn't be a great season of TV. How could it be? That's why Season 3 stands out, because Michelle Paradise had a plan. She wrote the entire season ahead of time. She executed the plan.
Right.
And she had Season 4 planned. So, yeah, it feels like it. That's the big change, I think.
Yeah. She could have wrote Season 3 a little bit better with the explanation of the burn, but yeah, yeah,
that's personal preference, I think.
Yeah.
I prefer that to a big bad. It's more Trek, more abstract, more, you don't need the Borg, you don't need Vija 2,
Right.
It was silly, but it was simple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, and I know you're leaving soon because you're tired and everything. I agree. It doesn't have to be a big bad. It could be some kind of anomaly, but the way it was done, but yeah. But I understand what you're saying. It'll be interesting. Do you know if they're going back to, do you know much about Season 4, if they're going back to exploration and stuff? Because that's what it kind of felt like they were about to do.
Well, they've, obviously the big end of Season 3 was we now have dilithium.
Right.
And we can now we can contact more than just a small area. And I'm kind of hoping that there's a tiny retcon, but it's not explicitly said, so it's not really. The range of the burn, I think that factor is so important they never got into. Because all of communications were sort of destroyed very quickly and travel was destroyed, they can't know how far it went.
Right.
So they never said it's into the Delta Quadrant, the Alpha, or Beta Gamma. They only know, well, we're not going to walk 8 months that way just to lose 8 months back. I know we're out of dilithium. They never risked going very far. I'm really hoping that they say Delta Quadrant was actually fine. They just chose never to come back for X, Y, and Z reason. The universe being destroyed somewhat is, kajillions of lives is a bit shitty for them to do as Discovery writers. But if it's only the Alpha and a bit of the Beta Quadrant, just enough to kind of make a blackout, that's kind of damage control, and then suddenly we have dilithium, we can open up the galaxy. Well, what's been happening in Delta Quadrant for 100 years? They've been dealing their own thing. What's happening with every other planet? I see them exploring and going back, visiting all sorts of planets that we've seen in previous seasons to say, well, hi.
Right.
What have you been up to for 100 years? Sorry, we missed it,
Well, it'd be interesting if maybe they say, the Romulans, the Klingons, and the Federation got massively hit. But once everything's been restored, the Cardassians, Bajorans, they've been doing fine, and there's actually a big build-up. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, we're going to see new alliances, and the whole political landscape be different, and that's anything can happen. And I think they've learned positivity is important. There was a good message by the end of season 3 of working together. Of it ended on a nice note, and I think they've said it's again another sort of anomaly-esque villain, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of a universal threat rather than a specific villain threat. I'm sure it'll be a side villain, but it won't be a big bad per se.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot. I think Adira's going to be huge this season. I think that's all the setup.
Right.
Probably Kelpian's more important. The Michael Burns' mum probably, and just rebuilding the Federation, very much like Andromeda. That'll be Andromeda-esque.
Yeah.
Commonwealth together again.
I think that'll be fun. If they did it on that, if they did it on just rebuilding the Federation, I think that would be fun.
Well, that's the simple idea. I can see them saying, a 2-month time jump, and Michael starts with, it's been 6 months and we've brought 150 planets back into the Federation. It's been amazing, and yet I still feel empty. You could do some really good stuff with that.
Right.
You need that positive spin, because even though the universe kind of got blown up, Starfleet was still doing its job to the best of its limited ability, and that was a positive message, with Vance being a fantastic leader.
Right.
There was darkness, but there was light in it, and that's a balance that we needed, rather than the corrupt people of season 2 of Discovery in Starfleet. I mean, Cornwall's nice, but other people, etc. Right. It was a good message hidden in a dark time, so hopefully they can continue that.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We'll see. Hopefully we'll see your stuff in it too, because I know you're about to be hired by CBS Paramount. It's coming.
Oh well. Hey, just put me and Stuart in lower decks. That's all we ask.
That's dude. That'd be so awesome.
Have us in the corner flying some little Eagle warships and saying, "Oh my God, it goes warp 7! Ooh!" Right. And there you go. We're happy. We'll be happy.
That'd be fun. All right, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, you're welcome to hang, but I know you got to go soon too. But
well, it's your show, man. It's your show.
It's like whatever. But yeah. But anything else? Lord, I've watched a little bit of it. What do you think about Prodigy coming out?
I know Stuart is really digging the art design and the ship especially, which is great. It's good to be excited. I'm middle, because it's going to be based on the characters, so I can't judge a premise and some visuals without the characters. Mm-hmm. So we'll see if they win me over.
Yeah.
It has all the potential, or has the potential to feel like a very removed from Trek show that happens to be in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah.
I think we've learned from the recent Treks that a big part of the Star Trek feel is the Starfleet aesthetic on a ship, on a station, for uniforms. Picard being so removed from it pulls so much away of what we associate Star Trek being.
Right.
So without almost any of that, only Janeway in uniform, we'll see how it works. But if the stories are fun and the characters are great, that doesn't matter so much.
Yeah.
But I can't judge until we see it. Why? What do you think of the ship and the art design? I
mean, I'm excited. I'm just excited that I can watch something with my kids. I don't think any current era Trek can be watched with kids at the moment. So I'm excited about that. It's like you said. I think that the more you pull away from Star Trek, the less interesting, or the less people are used to it or are going to like it. I don't know what they're going to do in the Delta Quadrant, and there's a lot of things they have to explain. I think the art design is fine. The voiceovers were pretty well. But again, you'll just need to see more of it and know what the actual story is to really get into it, because I don't have a firm grasp on what that is either. So I don't know. We'll just have to see.
It's gonna be a big surprise. I did kind of notice some of the one of the characters in particular for the Lower Decks trailer. I could hear the "I filmed at home" lesser than production quality audio. I hope that isn't going to be the entire show, but I mean, I can't blame them too much. Not everyone can create a good sound studio at home in lockdown. Okay, but I can kind of hear it. It's a little bit distracting, but that's okay. And I like your point about the kids, and just to double down on that a little bit. How many hundreds of stories have there been of the original series, especially inspiring people to their jobs, to their whatever, and inspiring kids? This is one thing that I don't think the current crop of producers really appreciate, that who is going to be inspired by Discovery Season 1, Discovery
Right.
Season 2, Picard Season 1 to be anything? I mean, would you agree they're totally devoid? They don't need that, but they're totally devoid of the next generation inspirational moments.
I think for the most part, I would agree with that. Yeah, I think they weren't. I think they were more worried about getting like persons of color in strong or LGBT in strong positions versus creating inspirational moments everyone can identify with and then maybe go on to do what they want to do. So yeah, I can agree with that. I think they are moving back into that again, like we kind of discussed with Discovery season 3, and I'm hoping that they'll continue along that path. But yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying.
I mean, it doesn't need to be that way, obviously, but it is been even Enterprise to some extent. You know, you can look to Hoshi being talented, you can look to Trip. You know, they're all inspirational in their own way. I'm interested to hear though. I haven't seen this, but what are your thoughts on the Picard time travel elements? The new season 2 stuff, because it seems to be that's going to be a thing. That's going to be a big thing.
They're doing time travel a lot. All of them are doing, like, Lower Decks is the only one I don't think has done time travel yet,
Yeah.
and I'm sure they will at some point do time travel in it. It's getting old. You know, time travel is getting a little overdone, I think. Depending on how they go about it, it's going to be interesting. I'm concerned that they're going to try to pull too much real life politics into it, you know? Assuming they stay away from that, it also seemed like, well, there are two things I found really interesting. First, if you notice, when they're gone back in time, and I'm sure you noticed this, Q is wearing the Europa uniform. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious what's going on with that, because he wears it at least twice. So it seems like that's going to be a very important part. And it looks like this pseudo-Terran Empire Starfleet has enslaved the Borg Queen, and that's how they're going to go back in time. And I think that's really interesting too. Like, they proactively went after the Borg, and it would be fun. I don't think they'll do this because I don't think the writers would write this, but it would be fun if there were advantages to this evil empire. Like, the Borg have been defeated, and so they don't have to worry about that. Like, the Delta Quadrant has been saved largely, but all they did was enslave most all of the drones or the Queen. And, of course, you know, the Federation is now evil, so you got to take care of that. It would just be curious to see if it's some gray.
Kind of like the peacekeepers from Farscape.
Yeah.
They are keeping the peace, but they do kick your ass if you're bad. But they do keep peace.
Right.
Just with an iron fist. No, I was quite pleased. Obviously, we've seen Discovery and Discovery be a little bit canon unfriendly,
right?
Retconning, but the fact that it feels as if Picard, yes, it's still mostly modern day, but the Europa and the Sanctuary, those are present. That's the Trek universe, you know, past, which is logically what you would do. You'd have to go into, if you're going into the 2040s.
Right.
It needs to be 2040s of Star Trek, which you would think they might not do if it was Discovery people, but it looks as if they might be, which could lead to really interesting social commentary of well, it isn't our world, but yeah, how much of our world will bleed in? You know, there is no President Trump because there was no Third World War.
Right.
These events do not lead to these consequences, so there has to be, you know, we diverged at a certain point. There is no coming together. They created Star Trek, we created whatever we'll end up doing. So I like that, although, and me and Stuart are kind of placing bets. How many episodes do you think are they going to be in that past for?
Yeah.
Place your bet.
I don't know. I could see it being like all of 2 episodes or something. I don't know. Because they do that a lot. That was a huge criticism, I think, of Discovery season 3, is that they'd have an issue and they'd take an episode, maybe 2, fix it. New issue, episode 2, fix it. And so I could see them doing similar to that, like being in the past. I'd say 2 or 3 episodes. What are your guys' opinions?
Yes, I'm always more inclined to try and see what's between the edits of the trailers, but Stuart has been very cute every year to say it's always in the first 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Deliberately. I think they're misleading us. Like, trailers are meant to do that. That's absolutely fine. It's not a criticism. I think that's going to be a very relatively small element. I think we're going to get one episode in the present. At the end, it's going to shift. So we're going to get a positive start, shift to negativity. Episode 2, we're going to get, oh god, what happened? Q's are going to come in. They're going to deal with how do we go back in time to stop it. Episode 2. And 3 and 4 will be in the past, trying to get to reset the present. But as soon as they get to the present, it ain't the same. There's the rest of the season.
Right.
Picard's no longer android. Maybe Data's alive. We know that John Delancey, Jonathan Frakes, and Brent Spiner are going to be in the same room in the same scene as their characters. How does that happen? I mean, Brent might play another Sung, but Jonathan's going to play Riker. So I think that's going to be the twist. It's going to be an altered, and that might answer some issues. It might retcon Picard season 1 very easily, which is I don't think anyone's going to have any complaints with. And it'll be a wow, okay, that was ballsy, but hey,
yeah,
they've got the power to do it.
Well, something else I think would be interesting. Again, I don't think the writers would do this, but something else I think would be interesting is if they came up with a moral dilemma where whatever changed in the past,
yes,
positively impacts the
Yep.
past, but negatively impacts the future. So all of these people are going to have a good life, or at least a normal life. They don't have to go through World War III or whatever. But that's the only way to get Starfleet.
Well, I don't think Picard would have a hard time with that, but I think he's seen enough of the universe, saved enough people. I can see it being that they get to the present, it feels normal, but they see things are different.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem, and they have to try to say, well, this present is now better.
Right.
Maybe best to put all good. Wolf 359 didn't happen or something, so they have to go back and re-influence the past they were just in, kind of Back to the Future 2 style, where you see 2 of them potentially, and then re-break it in the original way, causing those misery. And can you do that? Are you allowed to do that? The only issue with that though is if the past has changed because of Q, rather than him giving them a window to go back in time, then it's an alternate universe anyway. It doesn't matter. All good things, they all die. 2 crews of them die.
Right.
Riker dies twice, so it's an irrelevant future. So it can't be Q doing the time travel, or it can't be Q changing the past, and it's an irrelevant future. He's got to be giving Picard a way of going back in time, unless it is just Tapestry again. Which, okay, maybe, but let's wait if Q's doing it, because Q can undo it. He's space god.
They make him seem like a villain in there, and maybe he first comes off as a villain. I really hope that Q isn't. I like the thought of Q somewhat guiding humanity and ensuring that they're not destroyed or whatever by the Q continuum. And I hope they kind of lean into that, where Q either goes back to assist them, or, like you said, maybe it's similar to Tapestry, where he's trying to show why certain events do have to happen, or something like that. I don't want him to be a mega villain. I don't think that that's his role anymore.
Well, you can't fight and win against Q, so
Correct.
it's not really an entity. Although, like you just said, if it is Tapestry again, I was going to say, well, they can't just keep redoing old episodes, but they're doing Star Trek 4 again. So, and they're doing the Borg Queen again, they're doing 7 of 9 again, and they're doing Mirror Universe in essence again. I mean, how many things can they not? And time travel, just pulling things from the toolbox. Who knows what they could? One of my favourite quotes from the new showrunner, who seems nice so far. I quite like his presence so far. He said Akiva Goldsman quoted him. He said when he walked into production, he said, "I want to do Star Trek 4 again, just in Picard," and he was like, and Chabon was like, "Okay." Which kind of tells you that whatever plan they did have, you can't just change it, add Star Trek 4 time travel, change the past future story, which shows whatever plan they may have had, they obviously didn't have. And despite a year of lockdown in between, they didn't finish writing season 2 until they filmed season 2, which is a problem. But if they change the entire storyline again, so it's very strange. These new teams, long gone are the writing rooms of TNG where they can plan 13 in a session and then submit, give them to their writers. They write them. They get, go, and then okay, they've done the first half of the season. Let's write the second half. Let's make it connect. Let's choose, and then pick a good big end. It's very strange. I mean, if I was them, I would have written 2 and 3 in lockdown, have a really tight arc, and be, boom, we're good to go. Let's make the best Trek we've ever made. Because can you imagine if either of us had a 100 million paycheck, 100 million check to make 2 seasons of Star Trek?
Yeah.
And you've got Patrick signed on for 12 months for constant filming. Can you imagine what we could do with that? Just that free ride.
Right.
Wouldn't we plan the shit out of that?
Right. With the cast and everything.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the last time we're going to see Q in live action. So, you know, use it well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that would be excellent. I agree. Do you think real quick, do you think Q is going to make him human again? You think they're going to address that at all?
I think that's going to be retconned ASAP.
Like you said, yeah.
Because if Patrick Stewart didn't know his character was dying until 2 weeks before they shot it, I don't think they've got a plan for that.
Right.
And also, they didn't know that Raffian 7 were going to be an item until they filmed that scene.
Oh, yeah, that was so stupid. The director.
And so that's now a big element in season 2. They say they're developing that love arc. So they're, you know what I mean. They're going to pick and choose of season 1. They're not going to mention the space AI aliens from another galaxy that could destroy the universe. That should, in theory, be the big bads of season 2 and 3, because they should say, oh, that wasn't a wrong number. Let's transwarp in. Oh, there are AI. Let's kill everybody.
Right.
But they're not going to talk about them at all. They're going to ignore them as much as they ignored the Khan's blood in Star Trek Beyond.
Right.
Not even going to mention it.
Yeah.
You know,
I love how they just let that go. That is a constant threat that needs to be addressed, because you just have to piss somebody off that has the ability to contact them.
Well, the Dominion. I mean, we pissed them off once, and they caused a 5-year war.
Right.
I mean, you know,
yeah.
terrible.
So.
But I do think we'll end up seeing season 1 somewhat retconned as a way of avoiding those issues, which, you know, as long as you have the Daj character sort of stay in the present of the timeline, it doesn't matter so much that there's other things got erased, because her character is still who we think she is, and therefore she can still push forward in season 3. Because they've planned season 2 and 3 at the same time, roughly. So they do know where they're going now, and they are filming back to back. So the set's still standing. They're all going to look the same. We know Lancey signed a 6-episode deal going in, so he's in 6 and 2 seasons. Obviously, Frakes is directing both seasons. Brent is in both seasons. We know. So yeah, hopefully, interesting stuff. They've got a plan, and I wouldn't be surprised if they even, you know, jump back into the season 2 plot in season 3 to kind of, like, you know, make it even more confusing in a fun way.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Hopefully it'll be interesting. I thought season 1 was meh to bad in some instances, but I don't think that means season 2 is going to be negative, and so we'll see. Last thing, and then I'll get off with you. That I'm curious. So you saw the flag and the emblem for the evil Terran Empire, Starfleet, whatever it is, right? For me, it almost kind of looked like a skeletal hand coming out. And then one other person said, and I thought this was interesting, it looks like a merging of the Borg and Federation logo. I was curious about your thoughts on those two.
Yeah, I noticed you say that online. I thought it was a really interesting point with the skull hand.
Right.
I think that's a fun symbology. We did the sword. That was very powerful. The Borg is probably a bit of a stretch, but if they do that, it's wow for a reason. But I like the skeleton hand. I think it's a good emblem. It works fine. I like them being it's evil but not totalitarian, but not
familiar, but not.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see. I honestly think we're going to see Brent alive as Data, evil Data, and evil Riker, because he can, have him be old, have him be. I think that's and have him be somewhat de-aged, but not really. I think they've got a lot of chance here to kind of show off season 1 as a Right. I think they're going to use that, because you can retroactively make a previous season better. You really can, and the fact is, season 2 and season 3 of Discovery, the biggest difference was a new showrunner. Right. And despite Kurtzman being involved, it was her storyline and where she took that, and what we saw was something much better. New showrunner, it will be honestly a reboot, and that's okay for Picard season 2. Yeah, I don't disagree. All right, brother. Well, thanks for coming on and all that good stuff. It's pretty late for you. It's late for you right now, isn't it? 2:30. 2:30. Yeah. You need to get sleep. Yeah. I do. All right, guys. I'm going to share the Power 543 fan films. You already know how to get to Trek Yards, but there's a lot of great stuff there. It is so drastically undersubscribed. I don't know what's going on with that, but obviously the algorithm has never liked us. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I will talk to you later. You have a good day, okay? You too. Have a good one. All right. Bye. Bye, man. Let's see. Hit that.
that. Hit sign out. Yes. Always a fan of Trek Yards. As I have stated historically, Trek Yards was one of the channels when I was putting Lore Reloaded together. I looked at them, saw what they did, and used some of the ideas that they had to craft my own thing. Good point. What is going on, Lore? Hope you... nothing much. What's going on with you, Denzel? To address a question by Indie Tiger, why does Jean-Luc have a portrait of Gurney Halleck in Season 2? Always been a huge Dune fan, and so that's why he would have that. Either that or maybe it's an Easter egg, or Trek Yards can tell us. I'm assuming it's like an Easter egg. About the awful Data makeup, it does make a lot of sense that Data's skin should look like plastic. I mean, it could be. That's fair. I don't get too upset about Data, like Data being more rotund than he originally was, or being de-aged or anything. That has never really bothered me historically. I know it has bothered some people, but me, I haven't had a lot of issues with it. Voyager also had a super chat. Voyager had a super chat? Oh, did I miss it? I apologize. Let me see. The wig sucked. The eyes were wrong. Okay. I didn't see it. Let me go back and see if I can identify. So there's Indy. I apologize about that. I always try to get you all super chats. Section 31 show would be written in a way as to show that they did behind the scenes and major events in the show, including DS9 and possibly Voyager. Sorry I missed that, Arctic. I sincerely apologize. Thick data. That could be interesting, where they, instead of having their own like timeline or whatever, they go back and you see what had occurred. I think that'd make quite a few people mad, probably, but I would be interested in that. I would like that, personally. Laura's storyline is also done since Brent ended that story. I don't think he... Is he coming back? Brent Spiner may be coming back? Because I think that was said. I think Samuel said that, right? I'm a little tired, guys. He is back for season 2. He's coming back. He is, because I remember Brent saying that. Talk to you later, Indy. Thanks for staying on. It was my understanding he wanted to like cut all loose ends and stuff. So I'm curious what changed, and if it was anything outside of money and stuff. You know. After the Mars attack in Picard, I vaguely remember Starfleet not helping the Romulans when their home was destroyed. That's correct. They didn't. And that actually made a lot of sense. A lot of people got upset about that, but that is a very Starfleet thing to do. Lore was deactivated, not destroyed. Yeah, he is back. You're right. Greetings. The Federation had done harsh things time and time again in Discovery. They tried to kill the Klingon homeworld. Well, they agreed at the end. But, I mean, again... I don't think it's necessarily out of their wheelhouse. How do I feel about the JJ Universe? How would I feel about a JJ Universe show? Well, we effectively have JJ Universe shows. But how would I feel about, like, in the JJ Universe? Could be fun. I'm not sure how people would feel about it. But I personally would find that really intriguing, especially if they got the cast from the movies. I don't think they'd do that, but that would be extremely interesting to me. If they went full MCU on that stuff, I'd be a huge fan of that, personally. Sadly, I do think after Spock of Discovery Season 2, I don't want a recast in Prime for the fear that the actor... not challenging writers if it's bad or goes against the character. You think they went in wrong directions with Spock? Let the JJ verse die. It's not. Unfortunately, it's not dying. They are coming out with the 4th film. It's back on, baby. Getting the band back together, son. Getting the band back together. AI El Sung, supposed the Noonian Sungs. Well, Picard Season 1 did introduce a character that Spiner could play that could age normally. That's fair, I suppose. I'm going to be ending it pretty soonish, guys. Thank you for supporting the channel, as always. No! Don't know why you're knowing. So, I got a few things I'm wanting to do with the channel. Wanting to drive or push, and I have been considering doing like 24-hour streams to see about getting there. I don't know how I feel about it. I was thinking about either that or doing like stretch goals, like if I got 1,000 patrons, 1,000 donations via Patreon, doing a DS9 watch live like we do a Netflix thing. I'm on the fence, but I'll probably try it. 24-hour streams are, I agree, 24-hour streams are rough. But they can also be good for pushing causes. The reason I brought that up is because on some of the shows there were leaps of logic where a character would just know information, but would not show how they got their information. Yeah, I think it's actually an interesting idea, Arctic. I don't know that, I just think some people would get upset about it because Section 31 destroys what TNG told them. Personally, I would like it. I would be interested to see where they go with it. But that's just me. Can I clarify something for you? I don't know if Discovery is in the timeline after the Dominion War. It's not. It's pre-Dominion War. It's pre the original series. So there's that. That's why Laura thinks Cisco is Section 3. I'm almost convinced he's Section 31. I'd bet money on it. So all of the evidence points to it. But beyond that, guys, I am going to let you go because I am going to head out. I'm getting a little tired. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Guys, I'm going to see you on the very next, the most nextest of the next. More Reloaded.